And I'm looking at the third, and I'm like, 140 in 3, 2, 1. Welcome to Show Me Your News, the pinnacle for delivering and debating the gaming news that matters the most to you.
Rumor-filled gossip, hardware blunders, or upcoming releases. If it relates to video games, we want to talk about it.
I am Yoko, and I am in between business vacations. Trips, something like that.
I'm Tony, and I'm in between a job.
Oh. What?
No,
what
just
happened?
between shifts, like I
Oh,
slept,
okay.
and I gotta go
I'm
to another
like,
job.
You didn't get fired, did you?
I didn't know what to say. I just woke up.
Okay. Fair enough. Well, we are part of the Show Me Your News network at showmeyournews.com. And our top stories today for episode 140 of the podcast on Saturday, August 3rd, 2013. We've got some new additions to the show because of a podcast decision we made. We'll talk about that. The Smash update involves the Kid Icarus Uprising 3DS stage. But the person who knows maybe the most about that isn't here. Go figure. Xbox One is having a new feature installed to it after the fact at launch. Will this be important? How will it change the indie scene? Also, a notable game designer who has very mixed opinions on his individual self canceled the game, and you won't believe how he did it. Also, a Final Fantasy character gets an enhancement, and it's our hilarity of the week. We've got our story pool. Nothing in out recently. We got to get our soapbox here.
I thought you just didn't do that because it says question mark.
Yeah, well, it says question mark here on the outline, but I tried to look, and it's just like, there's nothing here. I mean, Pikmin comes out tomorrow, but that's not
Mario
today.
Luigi comes out like
In a
between
week.
shows too.
Well, it already came out in the other regions, but not here in
Screw you, other
America.
regions. I want to play that.
Those polarized regions.
I'm happy for you.
Then we do a metagame and another new feature to Show Me Your News. Not really new, but it comes back. Anyway, Super's not here today. He's got work. This is the only day I'm here this week, so we had to make the podcast at this time.
It's like we can do the show without me or Super, but Yoko's kind of essential.
I'm what can I say? I'm the backbone here. And our guest for this episode, this is his first time on either Show Me Your News or What Are You Playing, I believe. And he was at our finale for What Are You Playing, and we're like, you know what? Let's bring him on this show that is involving these What Are You Playing elements back on again. So please welcome Kind King 01.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Oh, it's good to have you on. I mean, longtime fan of the show.
Yep,
You've
since
been
episode 6.
Wow. And you've been at Youmacon as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really cool to have you on a podcast. It's great. What's new with you?
Nothing much, really. Same old, just summer doldrums, working at Best Buy. Same old stuff, really.
Fun times.
Yeah, Tony can attest to that, I'm sure. Anyway, we announced recently for the Show Me Your News network that our What Are You Playing sister show here to Show Me Your News would have its final episode with episode 20 that we just released. And, we
killed it.
I mean, I guess that's a blunt way of putting it, but I think it was something that had to be done. We kind of spent our last, 10, 15 minutes of that show talking about it. And if you haven't listened to that, absolutely do so. But the short version is that we're really glad we made the show. It was something that was necessary at the time for the start of the Show Me Your News network last year. And it was something we really enjoyed doing. It's a lot of fun to kind of have that, mark in time kind of series. But Read the Manual's really stepping their game up, and they kind of do a similar thing just with a broader sense of media. And we're trying to focus more here on Show Me Your News. So we're going to take some of those aspects from the show, integrate it into our show in a briefer format.
That and we all three do separate podcasts already now.
That too. I mean, we don't want to burn out of podcasting, so it's probably for the best. And I know, Ken, you were in the chat when that happened. I mean, you said it was a kind of a surprising announcement, but it made sense, right?
Yeah, it was a little bit of a just, wow, okay, it's ending right now. It lasted a good 20 episodes, and it got really good at points. It was one of my favorite shows to listen to after a while, but it makes sense because the network has grown and it's going in so many different directions that we do consolidate a little bit. It makes sense to me.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, it's not going away for good. I mean, like I said, we are bringing aspects into the show. So we're going to start off this episode of Show Me Your News with What Are You Playing? What Are You Playing started with Show Me Your News, and it kind of got into a stretch that just lasted a long time, took up a bulk of that show. which is one of the reasons why we made What Are You Playing in the first place, trying to cut down on our podcast length. So we have a short version of What Are You Playing here, not giving a new name. The original name is a good one here. But, we're trying to keep it like to just, less than a minute a game, just trying to keep it moving. We want to cover a lot of things here on the show, but just, put more content in and have it all be quality still. So actually, we're going to start with Kind King here. What are you playing?
What am I playing? Animal Crossing, still.
Animal Crossing.
Yeah, it hasn't left my 3DS since I first got Animal Crossing. I play it absolutely daily. I'm just checking my playtime. I have 161 hours and 20 minutes logged into the game.
Wow.
God.
I think when I checked, I had 32, and it was the most played game on my 3DS. But
Well,
I know I haven't played it in like 2 weeks, so.
Just the comparison. So that's my number one game. The one below that is Ocarina of Time 3D at 28 hours. So Animal Crossing is far beyond everything else.
I mean,
Okay.
it shows the quality of the game that Nintendo made, for sure.
It's a lifestyle game. Like,
Yeah.
it's not like the game you have to play for hours on end just to, like, level up. It's like, okay, I turn it on, play for an hour or two, put it away, go back and forth, do it. And since I work at Best Buy, I get all the street passes from kids who come
that's
in.
true, yeah.
So they want to see, like, the town. So I open up my 3DS, I give them, like, special Best Buy items and stuff like that.
Right, they got
So-
that promotion going. It's almost 2 months for the game. It's about a week away from 2 months of the game, so
Mhm.
that's
And
really
apparently,
great.
like, Nintendo's sales, like, their percentage jumped up 4% just from Animal Crossing.
I bet it did.
Yeah, it's...
First party hardware. Good job.
Mhm.
Who would have thought?
Yeah, but that's really all I've been playing recently. I'm still waiting for Pikmin 3. It comes out tomorrow, so when I play that, that's all I'm going to be playing for a while, I think.
Nice.
But there hasn't been anything too great out yet. Me and my buddies just started playing a playthrough of Pokemon Red. We started a Grumps-style Let's Play channel on YouTube, so we started our Pokemon Red game the other day. So that's good, full of nostalgia.
Yeah, make sure to plug that at the end of the show.
Will do.
Yeah.
We'll
Totally.
ask you for that, yeah. Anything else,
But-
though?
No, that's really it.
Okay, awesome. Tony, what are you playing?
I beat The Walking Dead.
Oh, yeah.
I got all misty-eyed. I'm not gonna lie.
It's an emotional ending, for sure.
And again, just percentages just surprised me with like the decisions people made overall. Which I'd want to talk about maybe on Superfluous or something, but not here because it's spoiler.
Yeah.
I also beat 400 Days,
Oh, yeah.
and just I wanted to point this out because in the first game, or in the original game, you have Clementine to look over, this little girl,
Yes.
and it's like I was trying to be very moral because I didn't want to like teach her wrong. And in 400 Days, there was no little girl, so I was an asshole because I could be. But then, when you beat the DLC, this, I don't want to spoil it too much, but if you've made them, like, jerks, and they don't trust people, they won't, like, advance
Yeah.
this part that is probably Season 2.
Yep.
So I'm going to have to replay it, and I'm pissed.
Well, it doesn't take that long.
No, it was really easy. I hope it just lets me replay the individual parts. But the two people who didn't go were, like, my favorite.
Now, did you get the achievement at the bus? Or not
Yeah.
not the bus, the car passing by?
Yeah, actually.
You did? Yeah. See, I stood my ground on that one, so I missed that whole surprise.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, I played very pessimistic and jerky because I feel like that's how I would personally react to those situations. But
Good to
when there was
know.
no, not to friends, but to random crazy truck guy. And I was right. That guy was insane.
Yep.
And there was the other rock paper scissors achievement. I think otherwise I would have said no. I'm not going to do that. That's stupid given the situation they were betting on. But I knew there was a trophy, so I did it.
Yep. You're welcome.
Oh yeah.
Anything else?
Also, Kirby on the NES, which I'm at World 4, which is fun. Copy abilities and whatnot. It's crazy how much that game's series has come, like, powers-wise, too, though.
Still the first Dreamland?
Yeah, like, I don't think there was new bombs or, like, you couldn't use bombs and stuff. And I found Beam to be, like, one of the most useful ones. And Sword, like, isn't as good yet. It's fun, like, seeing how they've come, you know?
Yeah.
It's funny how, like, each Kirby game, like, the moves get nerfed. Like, each game, like, oh, the sword's great in this game. Next one, it's okay. Oh, it's great again. Oh, now it sucks.
I like Fighter. I think Fighter's my favorite.
Oh, I hate Fighter. I like all the projectile moves. I hate like doing like the close combat, like flipping them over and like that.
Well, he's got like a Hadouken, so it's a projectile too. It's like everything. That's why I like it.
I guess.
But that's about it for me. Oko, what have you been playing?
I tried. Actually, I beat. I say tried because it only took like 2.5, 3 hours. But I beat Sonic Generations on 3DS.
Is that short, really?
Yeah, it's so short.
Well, I didn't know that. I didn't want to play it.
It's
'cause I
also
thought-
so disappointing. If you play it on its own without playing the console version, you might enjoy it. But the console version, they put so much more effort into it that when you go back and then play this second, it's on the point of bad at certain points. I mean, level design, I think they rely on modern Sonic way too much. Like the balance between the two, modern and classic Sonic in the console version, was really nice. This one is just so modern Sonic heavy, and when it's side-scrolling only for modern Sonic in these 3DS design levels, they don't think about certain things, and it makes the level design very frustrating.
I do just want to see it because it's got different levels. I did see like Bio
Yeah,
Blizzard. I got really excited.
Well, and I tweeted about this, that BioLizard, the battle sucked. It was so bad. When you compare it to what Sonic Adventure 2 was, and you had, the relative speed for that level, and you were, free moving in a 3D space, this was trying to emulate 3D with 2D, and it was slow and clunky, and I mean, the music was great through the whole game, but that's, you can expect that from a Sega game.
That was like one of my favorite boss fights ever, too.
Oh, yeah. And
It's really good.
it does a special stage thing that is kind of emulating Sonic 2 special stages in a way, where you have to race to catch the different Chaos Emeralds. Not the Master Emerald. But you only have like a minute 30, and then you're trying to collect these orbs so that you have boosts. Again, it's relying on modern Sonic too much, and the 3DS isn't powerful enough to make what modern Sonic was in Generations on console great. So it was really disappointing. The worlds were pretty cool, though. I mean, to...
Check it out. I never really liked the whole like big console game and handheld game are the same like
Yeah.
title
Right.
because I'm like, well, clearly the console game's the only canon one that matters, so I don't really want to play the handheld one.
Yeah, well, and the console games, like, it's, really nice cutscenes and all, and then on the handheld, it's like pictures and text and little voice quips.
Yeah,
Like-
I just wish the handheld games were completely different content
just-
altogether.
The difference in quality is astounding. Anyway, and then I'm also playing the Ace Attorney series in HD on iPad as well. I finished up Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney, the first game, just after What Are You Playing? I had so little left in that game. But then I'm starting Justice for All, and I forgot how good the Corain channeling case was. Like, I remembered all the twists as they were happening, but when you see it all together, like, oh yeah, that was a really good case. And now I'm on the Big Top Circus, so everyone who knows that game, that's like, oh, yep, that is the low, dumb point of the series. So you get through that, and you got a great last case for that game, but, it's making good progress with that one. But
That
really,
damn clown. Oh, it's awful.
Hey, in West Clonadelphia, born and raised. Let's get to our headlines, though, for the gaming industry in the past couple weeks. We always start with, now what that Smash Brothers for Wii U and 3DS is out, and they're doing a slow drip of information as opposed to what the dojo was. Now they're doing this on Miiverse with one picture a weekday and captions. I mean, let's look at some of the more recent ones. We're looking a couple weeks ago here. There's some interesting pictures here. You can see some of the details on Pikmin and Olimar. A couple weeks ago we talked about how Olimar was revealed, and there was the discussion of Alpha, is he going to be in the game because of that social media slip-up? I think the big thing is they showed a new stage on 3DS, and it's tough to tell at this picture resolution when they purposely make the images smaller for the 3DS version. I mean, you can kind of tell what's going on, but does it almost look like they're showing half the stage here?
I have no idea.
It looks like a tease.
A little bit. I mean, the background looks great. The caption is, Viridi, goddess of nature, is about to obliterate the humans as they battle, driven by greed. And so this is, of course, Masahiro Sakurai, director of Smash, and he also worked as director on Kid Icarus Uprising. So it's natural that he'd put a stage from that game on the different handheld stages that he likes to do for apparently the 3DS version of Smash. He's trying to focus more console stages on the console game, and then handheld stages on the handheld game.
Still weirds me out for Pokemon. I don't know what they're gonna do.
That's a good question. Like, oh gosh, maybe they take advantage of something with XY, but I don't know.
Guess they'll go to Battle Revolution.
No,
Or
please,
just
not.
big Bidoof balloon.
All Poke Floats, all Bidoofs. We're just battling on that. Someone do a picture of that. That'd be great.
Yeah.
They show Villager's return ability and the capture and then return on Pit's arrows. That's not surprising. You got a tin lift on the Pikmin 3 stage on Wii U. This one on July 26th here is probably one of the more interesting ones, I think. You know, we could say, getting a stage is great. I mean, of course, a new character would be very accepted. But this, you kind of think Din and Furore from The
That's
Legend
what
of
I thought
Zelda.
it
Like,
was.
at first you see them, like, kind of shooting, and it's, like, the whole myth cutscene in Ocarina of Time.
Mhm.
But Sakurai says, the impact launch effect has been powered up. The assigned color makes it clear which player will get points in the event of a KO. So that means that, the player in red has been knocked off by player 1, and then the player getting knocked off by green has been knocked off by player 4. That's what I would imply from that statement. And I like that addition.
Even though I don't play time.
Well, I don't think it would necessarily be
And
time.
it still counts in stock, even though it
Right.
doesn't matter because it's
Exactly.
last man standing in free for alls. But it's still I gotcha. Especially in those weird two people hit person. I don't know what the hell just happened at
Oh, yeah.
times.
It doesn't help though that Link is in the green, and Samus is in the orange-red color. Because I assumed okay, the colors off stage will match
The
basically
color
the
of the
character.
character.
Exactly.
That's what I thought too.
Mhm.
It
Either
took
that
me
or
to
they're
just
all-
now to realize that.
Either that or they'll all get some sort of super boost move as a recovery or something where they rocket across the stage yeah.
Super Saiyan.
Yeah, exactly.
I think we pointed this out on the last Show Me Your News or something when we were talking about the Smash guys, but they did have a close up of Olimar. This is just something I find interesting because I think Pikmin's kind of cool. Is they did a little close up on the whistle that they added on his helmet,
Hmm.
Yeah.
and he's got a little Huckate, which is the planet he's from, little badge on his
Yeah.
sleeve.
Well,
Nice.
I mean, when you can
His little
do
touches.
when you got HD, you can do small touches like that in the texturing. So it's a good idea. No, I think
You
back
can
to
put
the
more Pokemon in Snake's box.
exactly.
That was weird. I just remembered that the other day, and I'm like, what?
And I think back to the idea of the launch colors. I think it goes back to the whole idea that Sakurai's trying to do of having the attacks be more defined as well, with arcs to the attacks and making those more visual and kind of, in a way, defining the hitbox a little more, but making them a little more dynamic and visually appealing. I think this only adds to that. And to borrow an old Show Me Your News quote, I'd be so down with that. G.
You got real close to the mic.
I know. I gotta bring in the sexy voice for that one.
Well, with the 3DS version, how all the characters are outlined because the screen is so much smaller. I thought this was an idea at first. Okay, it makes it more defined on the 3DS. When a character dies.
It's a very good point. Yeah.
But
I'm
then
sure
they-
a lot of that is that point.
But then they show it off on the Wii U, so it's okay.
That's one of the interesting things.
It's pretty.
I would rather get the same thing mirrored on both Wii U and 3DS.
If
Yeah.
possible, yeah.
I know I'm going to be playing probably the Wii U version of this game more. And of course, for selling the game, it's going to look better in HD, of course. But when you just get a 3DS, image, and it's, noticeably less in pixel count and quality and all that stuff,
Mhm.
it is a little underwhelming. So I would almost want to see the same thing, side by side, as opposed to, a couple months down the line, be like, we showed this on Wii U back in the day. here it is on 3DS. Like, meh. I'd rather not have that. I don't know.
It's the Meta Knight moveset all over again.
Exactly. See, there's so many parallels to Brawl, and
It's the same game.
I wish it were a dojo. On the 29th, what do we make of this picture with Wii Fit Trainer and Donkey Kong?
I don't even know. Up throw, I guess.
Maybe.
What else could that be?
Massaging his ass when he's flipped. I don't know. Yeah, it's probably an up throw.
But then there's just like a freaking power bomb secondary
Yeah,
animation.
I was gonna say he's gonna slam him back to the ground. Like that's compressing the back instead of stretching it. So
It could be part of the grab animation.
You like
Give us the
maybe
up grab.
you like regain health when she massages you, and then you lose a bunch when you like.
that would be interesting.
She's like a medic character. She'll heal characters on stage for team battle.
A little bit, yeah. I don't know. I mean, a lot of the Wii Fit Trainer screenshots are a little questionable. Like the one where she had like the sun by her chest, and it's like, Sakurai, what is happening here?
It's like if we saw little frames of like Wario's movement, we'd be like just as confused.
Right, no, that's true.
We need a little more. I'm sure she's really weird.
You see the Smashville or the Animal Crossing background for Wii U stage. Looks nice. Yeah, easy to overlook town scenery while battling. You don't say. I'd like to focus on the battle. Yeah, Pikachu and Donkey Kong look really nice. You know, quality there on the Pikmin stage. But
Is Donkey Kong blowing a flower? Because that is the last move he needs in this game.
yeah, that's true. That's true.
I think
It
they're
looks exactly what he's doing.
they're staring at the little ship. If you zoom in, that's the SS Drake. That's the new ship from Pikmin 3.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think they're saying like, oh, look how tiny it is.
What would that
Yeah,
be?
but it
Would
looks
that be like
like-
his down B replacement? Like they get rid of the hands, the pounding the ground?
He just
That
kneels.
would be terrible. I love that move.
It's
good.
it's like Mario's Flood. It does really nothing but push you back a little bit.
Yeah, Pikachu's
Also
probably
is-
doing a footstool.
Yeah, that's weird too. Hopefully you can't just jump on people. And just stay there.
I just perch.
Mm.
Then this Kid Icarus one, come on out, Cragalanche. Not really.
I'm like, is that a Metroid?
I don't think so.
It's Donkey Kong.
Is it?
Yeah, he's curled up in the ball. Looks like he has the
Oh.
tie on.
Oh wow.
Oh, that's weird.
That was not what I saw when I
No.
first.
What did you guys think it was?
I
I
almost
thought it
thought
was a Metroid.
I didn't think it was a Metroid. I thought it was like
That's a
the background was like a stomach lining or something like that, and then that was like a tumor or a boss battle.
I'm a tumor.
What is Donkey Kong essentially?
It's not a
What
tumor at all.
What is Donkey Kong essentially, if not a tumor nowadays?
Exactly.
I didn't think it was a Metroid for real, but that was like my first glance, and like I don't know what the hell that is.
I was like, was Cragalanche like a Kid Icarus Uprising boss? Don't know. That's really strange.
Yeah.
But
It's
then,
been
like,
so long since I played Kid Icarus.
I mean, that background, that looks like it might be a new stage as well. So it's hard to say. These little teases on the 3DS version, like, show us more if you're going to show us anything at all, I guess. And then you've got a battle of Shoryus, really. The Mega Upper and the Super Jump Punch.
What move is the Mega Upper? Is it his up B or
I think so, yeah.
what's Rush?
Rush?
Because I thought that was his up B like Sonic's.
Rush might be a down B, I wonder. Like, like Sonic. Well, no, Sonic is...
Sonic's is his up B.
Yeah.
That's
Could
what
be-
I thought it was because it reacts the same. It like stays on the stage too.
Could it be a two-part, like he punches up, and then when you do it again, it's someone's rush just for like the recovery move?
I don't know, or maybe it's contextual.
Maybe.
Like on the ground versus in the air. But they've never really done something like that where it's a different move based on that. So, I don't know, it's hard to say. Or
Otherwise, you're just killing Rush, a la Yoshi. What if that was Mario's up B? He just jumps off
just
Yoshi.
summon a Yoshi every time. But then Yoshi'd have to be deconfirmed, so there you go.
No.
So my god.
I don't know, interesting pictures. Nothing big this week for Smash. They're getting off the tournaments at EVO. We don't have a character reveal this week. So we just, get some of the pictures and that's about
I
all.
can't get enough of this wrestling ring stage. I love it so much.
the more I think about it, the more I think it's Punch Out.
Which is fine, but
you know,
I just love it.
It lends credence to that, Little Mac character rumor. Yeah, that'll be interesting to see what happens from it for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Also, another Smash thing that also came out was an interview in Famitsu where Sakurai talked about, the exclusion of a Subspace Emissary like story mode and also cutscenes along with it. I think this kind of leads to the idea that we're going to see something like adventure mode, probably similar along the lines to what Melee's modes were. And I'm okay with no.
I'm okay with that.
I'm okay with no Subspace Emissary. It was a cool idea, but once you started doing like that second retread during the game, it's like no.
Narratively, I've talked about how that story is just really flawed, and I really didn't like it.
Yeah.
Kirby characters do everything. That pisses me off.
And the unmentioned taboo, nothing really goes along with him. He disappears and then dies.
Yeah. That's a bother for me. Like when the big bad is just like, surprise, this was not hyped up at all.
Yeah.
Freaking Mennonite out-climb the ice climbers. That's all they got. That's all I'm saying.
He's got wings. Come on. He's got wings.
And Mario can't save a princess, but Kirby can.
Oh, boy. What do you guys make of this quote, though? Unfortunately, the movie scenes we worked hard to create were uploaded onto the internet, Sakurai lamented. You can only truly wow a player the first time he sees a cutscene. I felt if players saw the cutscenes outside of the game, they would no longer serve as rewards for playing the game, so I've decided against having them. What are your thoughts on that philosophy?
Utterly ridiculous.
He uploaded them himself. If you go on this back during the dojo days, he had parts of the Subspace Emissary uploaded to the site. That's when we watched the first trailers. So right away, he's saying that became less important to us when we first saw it.
You might as well not compose any music because that's going to be on YouTube too. Is utterly the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. I cannot get that logic at all. Take
out the character models too, because we've seen those, so now it's ruined too.
Yeah, just don't make the game. We're only gonna play it once and then be done with it. I don't know what to think of it. I don't care because, like I said, Subspace is whatever. I don't want that to be a completely hell. If that was like a DLC thing, I'd be up for that. If they really put work into it and it was like a legit awesome story mode, yeah. But if it's just honestly, there's so much to do in these freaking games. Like, they should have achievements where you do all the adventure mode with everybody. Because I would sit there and do it, but I didn't do it with Brawl because it was just like, okay. Also, it just took a while. Classic mode took forever in Brawl, as compared to Melee.
Well, Melee had the not the story mode, it was like the adventure mode. Like we would run through like the dungeons and like Legend of Zelda and fight the Redeads and stuff like that. Yeah. Like that was fun. That was like, okay, I'm in like this certain character's like world fighting these enemies, but it wasn't a big story. I was fine with that. Like, yeah,
that was really cool actually. Mm-hmm. Like it's good enough. Like if they do that, I'd be happy.
Like that for sure. Here's the thing, Sakurai. You can't stop players from uploading parts of the game to the internet. However, and more importantly,
you can't talk to Nintendo for this. Actually,
no. Here's the bigger thing, though. You can't stop players from proactively going out and searching for that content. It's the whole culture of the internet. It's a clip culture. So it's one thing to have players upload that. I know Nintendo and Let's Plays and the whole ad revenue thing, like that's all kind of mixed up into it as well. But it's almost like saying he's punishing players for searching out videos and things that they are interested in, so he's not going to create that content in the first place. It's backwards logic. It doesn't make sense. It kind of shows an out of touch nature with how digital internet culture works.
I'd say that just for all of Nintendo with like the Evo streams and everything.
Right.
They just don't. They're so stubborn in their ways. Like, well, they shouldn't do that. It's like it's not a problem. Mm-hmm. People are seeking out your content. If anything, they'll buy the thing.
Right.
I mean, I'm sorry.
Well, I was just gonna say, and even if they weren't, they're just gonna watch it and stop. You affect them zero too. You can only gain from it.
Even with the Subspace Emissary, when Brawl first came out in Japan, I avoided all the Subspace Emissary stuff before it came out in America. I wasn't one of those people actively looking for the clips.
So you were quote unquote wowed the first
Exactly,
time.
I was wowed. But at the same time, I have no problem if people upload the clips. I just choose to not look for them.
They're making a decision that players should be making for themselves. And if players want to spoil themselves and be wowed in that sort of form, that's their choice. I mean, I understand reasons like it's too cost inefficient for us to make cutscenes. Like, that's at least more understandable than saying, oh, well, them people on dem internets gonna go all spoils. Like, that's dumb. Anyway.
I wonder if Kojima's made a visit at any point in production and heard that and been like, what?
Yeah. Maybe I should make a game with no cutscenes.
He would, too. He's so, like, dependent on what people think.
Metal Gear Solid 5, 2 minutes, no
There you
cutscenes.
Let's talk about...
He's sad that MGS5 is not going to be as expansive as GTA 5. I'm like, dude, don't worry about that.
It's a totally different game.
Yeah.
He's talking about the open world nature. Anyway, that's different. Let's talk about Microsoft here. And apparently, after launch, the functionality being added at a later date, the Xbox One can be used to make games. That said, it will eventually include a dev kit for game developers, to include, their own games on Xbox One. Now, they don't really go into the specifics of this. What are your first thoughts on this, though, guys? To have a dev kit for the system for indie developers inside a major console release.
It doesn't really affect me too much. I don't make games, so it's like, okay, good for the people who are going to be using this feature to its advantage, but it doesn't really change my opinion on the Xbox One at all.
Right.
I mean, if anything, I think we're going to see a lot more people make more games, but it's like, okay, now this isn't as exclusive anymore. Now that everyone has a dev kit, will we see a lot more crappy games in the marketplace? Because the people who bought the dev kit before were the ones who really wanted to make good, solid games and would shell out the extra $400, $500 for the dev kit.
Right.
Well, I mean, it's good on the sense that anyone can access it, but it doesn't really tell me anything like that they're going to be easier to work with when it comes to indie games about getting things on the market. Like the other two have been so much more instrumental in like getting indie people to get their content on their consoles. But I don't see Microsoft, even if they do this, they're still going to be like, whoa, like hell to get a hold of and just get launch dates and stuff.
Right.
Seems desperate.
I think if you want to make games, there are other ways to make games. It's called the Android market, the iOS market. The PC is easy to develop on if you know how. I think you're right, is kind of a desperate move in a way. It is kind of an appealing idea to have your game, on a console, especially with what Microsoft seems to be letting up on their indie restrictions, restricting the fees or eliminating the fees for different patches or all these kind of things that they used to have on Xbox 360. However, I would not be surprised if there are still some hidden fees around the corner here. We do remember, some of us at least, that Microsoft did start the Xbox Live indie sort of market. And I'm trying to remember the exact name they had, but they've tried this thing before on Xbox 360, except you had to pay money to get access to it or be allowed to, and then it would go through a review process and all of this kind of stuff. It's something that I'm hesitant to say that this is a great thing on when their past track record has been lackluster. However, if it is implemented correctly, it's a good start in the right direction for those that want to make their own games and have it be on a console. Although I think if our people are wanting to do that now, they don't have to wait. There are other means to do that.
I think they've scorned too many gamers. Like, I don't think they care to make anything on their console. Unless that thing sells a lot, which I'm really... I can't wait to see how this plays out.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
This is like one of my most anticipated console runs, and I'm not even participating for a while, but I can't wait to see how the general public like goes with this.
Just from working at Best Buy, we've already sold out of all our Xbox One pre-orders, but we got so few of them to begin with. Like if I looked up the store, how much we sold for pre-orders for PS4 and Xbox One, PS4 is beating the Xbox 10-1.
Whew.
Yeah.
Damn.
Wow.
Yeah, I think we got like maybe 11 Xbox One pre-orders and upwards to 50, 60 PS4 ones already.
Now, granted, that's one store in the New York area, but that's surprising.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, yeah, it doesn't sell the system anymore. I think Microsoft still needs to do a better job with that to kind of show the benefits and whatnot. But something like this, if it's done correctly, it could be an interesting, it could be an interesting addition. I mean, it's nothing that we've seen on other consoles before where they've generally been so closed. So.
This is just like a tiny little tangent, but have you guys been reading the Wii U like sales numbers lately?
They're pretty bad.
Yeah, like I think 160,000 in the last like quarter. It's terrible.
Was it something like that the Wii outsold the Wii U recently?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. They need the games. And hopefully this starts to turn around with Pikmin 3, but
I
Nintendo
still
did
feel
a
like
really
it won't.
Nintendo said that they learned from 3DS, and then they did a really bad job with games. They had their launch lineup all set, and it's like, let's delay all the things. So
Pikmin is popular, but I feel like it's a very like niche community. Like it's gonna help a little bit.
It's not a bad system for the people that say the Wii U sucks and all that. The Wii U's game library sucks, and the games are what sells the system, and it doesn't have the games. Give it to the end of this year. Let's see how it does through the holiday. I mean, I'm excited for things like Wind Waker, which apparently might have a new difficulty level.
Nice. I keep seeing new things from that, but at the end, I'm like, okay, it's still Wind Waker, and then I see the new Mario game. I'm like, that's the same Mario game. Like I think Smash Brothers they'll sell like 8 million or something like immediately.
You gotta wait for that though.
Yeah.
Let's get to talking about Phil Fish. Phil Fish had a Twitter meltdown and canceled Fez 2. Things you can't make up. Now, Phil Fish is a very controversial figure in the game industry. Some may remember him from his appearance in Indie Game the Movie, which you haven't seen that. That's a really good documentary. Go watch that on Netflix. Highly recommended watch for fans of the game industry, Indie Game the Movie. Now, I've heard a little bit about Phil Fish before that, but I really, then knew of him from watching that. And in that, he is a rather sympathetic figure. A lot of things, happened to him that you kind of feel bad for him. However, Phil Fish has a very controversial history in the game industry where he isn't the kindest person when he has a large ego. He calls out other people. At one time he said, Japan sucks at creating games. Just like a blanket statement there. It's a really interesting situation. So when Marcus Beer of the Annoyed Gamer fame, and he has his podcast Invisible Walls, part of the Game Trailers network, goes on his podcast and calls him out, the two have words over Twitter. Phil Fish becomes sick of a game industry and cancels the game he's working on.
Do you think the journalist was just like, oh damn, like after this happened?
Not really. I've seen Marcus Beer's stuff, and he's confident in himself, and he probably doesn't care. And I think he probably has the same reaction as a lot of us do, in that, grow some thicker skin, please. It seems.
I mean, it's the internet. You gotta take things in stride, and when you say controversial things, you have to elaborate very carefully.
Yeah. I know, Ken, you have an interesting opinion on Phil Fish as well, though. What's that about?
Yeah, I like Phil Fish. Like, I understand all the hate around him with all his comments. They are very negative comments. But I was following Fez when Fez was first announced, like 5 years ago now, or longer than that. Before he won the award at that, I forget what exactly the conference was. Before he won the award for Fez being the next big indie game, he was a much more humbler person. And I think that media built him up after he won that award, and it went to his head for the most part. And now, yes, it's not the greatest thing. Like, okay, he let power go to his head. He became an asshole. Like, I understand why people are saying that, but when he's a one person working on this one game, it's him and one other guy who's actually doing the coding, while Phil Fish is doing all the designing and stuff like that. It's a lot different than big companies when people when Mass Effect 3 came out, everyone started complaining like, oh, the ending for Mass Effect 3 is horrible. That's an entire team at EA being like, okay, they think our end of our game is crap. When it's just Phil Fish and he has the entire internet just making fun of him, telling him to die, cursing him out, it's horrible. And so, yes, this Marcus Beer guy, it's the straw that broke the camel's back. This wasn't, oh, Marcus Beer made Phil Fish quit Fez 2. Mm-hmm. It was the final nail in the coffin. Even when Fez 2 was announced, the comments on the page were like, okay, I'll see you in 5 years, Phil Fish. Good luck with that. Mm-hmm. Like, no one expected, they just railed on him, even though the game was just announced, nothing's shown at all. So Phil Fish gets a lot of crap, even though I don't think he deserves a lot of it.
Usually when the whole internet comes out against a certain individual, there's a segment of the population that feels a sense of sympathy and empathy for the individual. I mean, to kind of correlate to sports right now, mm-hmm. There are some people who feel bad for Alex Rodriguez right now with what he's going through.
Oh, yeah.
It's not many people, but, when everyone is ganging up on someone, some will think that it's not fair. Now, personally, I think Fez is a great game, even though I had my game save on Xbox 360 encounter that save glitch. But, I can respect the hell out of the work he did on that game. I'm not going to get personally offended by comments about the industry that I learned retroactively or after the fact. So I'm not going to hold that too much against him. But at the same time, I get the whole straw that broke the camel's back argument. But over Twitter, I don't think this was the way to do it.
I'm sure there were other things beyond this, just the industry as a whole, working in it, probably, he doesn't enjoy it. I'm sure there's more beyond it than just, internet's making him mad. Mm. But it is, he is kind of throwing a fit for everyone to see on Twitter and then quitting on Twitter.
He had a difficult time with Microsoft, how they were going to charge him a ridiculous amount of money to patch the game on Xbox. Then he releases the PC version. Everyone's like, okay, it's on PC. Why isn't it on Sony now? It was one thing after another. People never let him rest. It was almost relentless the way they attacked him. And the whole thing, it's on Twitter. He's not a celebrity, a major celebrity in the entire world. He can't really hold a press conference and excuse me, I'm canceling Fez 2 because X, Y, and Z. So really, yes, it was an irrational, just sudden burst of anger. But really, Twitter, it spread on Twitter and it got the word out pretty fast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, Microsoft did kind of screw him over a bit there when you think about it. It's a weird situation to see happen here. He's saying that it's not just because one guy being mean, he's just deciding to get out of games, in general, because he's sick of the abuse. Do you see this turning around though? Does he change his mind in time, do you think?
Maybe.
I hope I hope so, just because I'm a huge Fez fan, and it's sad. It's when an artist dies, it's okay, the art they produce and the joy they bring to you, it's not there anymore. Mm. So I hope he does come back. At the same time, I respect his decision to leave, because I don't think even I could handle all the crap that people gave him.
Right. No, I agree. I think that's kind of the way I'm feeling on that one. Anyway, let's get to the hilarity of the week.
Let's transition from that into this.
Why do you do this to me? The guy that's but it's Final Fantasy, guys.
The Final Fantasy approach is exactly why I wanted to bring it up. And also, you did mention it on What Are You Playing? The random mention of how Angry Joe was freaking out about it, so I read more into it.
Angry Joe is angry, short story short. If you can't believe that.
Yeah. So apparently, at a recent Q&A session with the developers of Lightning Returns Final Fantasy 13 or Final Fantasy 13-3, whatever you want to call it, some fan asked about Lightning's, the main character of the Final Fantasy 13 games, Lightning's breast size. And if it's true that she went from a C cup to a D cup, and the developers confirmed that that was happening. Also, jiggle physics, because those will change depending on the outfit that you put Lightning in. Why square why?
I just picture the conference when he's like saying, "We wanted to make them, how you say, bigger."
And Jiglia.
And Jiglia. It's a thing. I'm not complaining. I don't know what else to say to that really. Like it's a more than anything, it's like it's Japanese. It's Japanese. That's what it is.
Yeah. And
Tony, Final Fantasy fan.
just stop. I just want to get chocobos and airships and save the world.
But that's not what this game is about.
I guess not. They're stupid.
If there was reason behind it, it would make more sense. Like, I did play all the Final Fantasy 13 games, so like there is supposed to be a time lapse between 13.2 and Lightning Returns.
I think
so they're trying to say
500 years, is it, or something like that?
Exactly.
I don't know.
They want to say,
I don't even know.
she grew over time or something like that.
Yeah, but the rest of her body did not. Bull crap. Seriously, I think I saw that argument too. It's like,
it's Japan.
What are you trying to rationalize that for? That's ridiculous.
It's so stupid because like she's such a strong character, like a strong female character. Like if they did this to Samus, I would be pissed. It's like, don't do that.
Well, some would argue that with Dad Ass on Zero Suit Samus. So, but seriously, if you want to have a female character grow, the chest is not where you do it.
It's just Japan, like he said. They just buy into that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, people here do too, but it is just kind of that otaku draw big boobies and people watch your anime kind of culture.
Yeah.
I mean,
Man,
yes, as a straight male, I'm not going to go out and say, "Oh, I hate boobs." I think the idea behind it, and like that's what they're changing, and that's how they're making improvements to this character and this game. Like that's a feature that if it were back in the day, it would be something they'd put on a box as box art or something as one of the notable features. Maybe like Bubsy, when Bubsy's just like, you get one-ups. Like, it's that kind of thing.
I like on the Kotaku article, someone tagged the picture at the very top of her boobs, and it says, "Oh, so that's where all the plot went."
Yeah, that's true. That's amusing, but this is not how good characters and good writing and good storytelling is done, which this franchise is known for. And let's see, Decaf78 points out in our chat, it's X2 all over again. Kind of.
Yeah.
Kind of.
I'm sick of sequels. There should not be sequels. It really pisses me off that 15, like Nomura's like, yeah, we're making sequels to it. I'm like, don't. Just stop. Final Fantasy is like a new adventure every time. That's what's cool about it.
One of the interesting comments in the article is that the developers have the goal of to defeat Skyrim. I'm sorry, to defeat Skyrim, do you want Fusro Jugs? Is that what you're trying to do? Like, this game, if you've seen footage of it, it's I don't think you can even compare it to Skyrim in any way.
Nope.
They're completely different.
So I haven't seen footage of it, like gameplay wise. I don't know what it's. I hope it plays like 2 because 2 is actually one of my favorite battle systems.
Mm-hmm.
So
Sort of.
what is this development team even thinking? If they're trying to say defeat Skyrim, well, how are you going to defeat Skyrim when your game is nothing like Skyrim? What are you trying to?
Didn't like, and not even sales wise, because didn't 2 not do too good?
Not that well.
And then they're like, let's make 3. It's like, why?
Yeah,
Understand.
they said that there was going to be a 3. I think what, like before 2 was even out.
Well, they ended 2 with like to be continued,
Exactly.
like flat out.
Like overall, two is the better game comparing 13 and 13-2. But I think people were so burned from 13 they didn't want to try 13-2, even though it plays much better than 13.
Yeah, it actually does.
Well, here's the thing. Hopefully, they don't use the 6-axis motion.
Wasn't that
Like
in
in,
like Ninja Gaiden?
Yeah,
like
Ninja Gaiden Sigma 2, I think.
Something like that.
Yeah, let's not do that ever again. But no, you were talking about on What Are You Playing, how Angry Joe got angry, and I was reading that stuff, and I'm like, I totally agree with Joe. These people who are defending this.
I wasn't saying he was
Shame.
unjustly angry.
No. I totally hear you. But if you haven't seen that stuff, some of the people who were defending this move or saying like, "What, you don't like big boobs?" or like, missing the point. I don't know. I mean, any thoughts?
Just more fan service. Just like dress him up as Cloud and all that other stupid crap. Just
What do you get to the? What do you say to the people who say, "Well, fan service is only a good thing. It cannot be a bad thing."
you're dumb. Fan service is incredibly distracting. I don't care what anyone says. It's like, oh, I'm into the story and there's the upskirt. Thank you. Like, I know what you're doing and I hate it. I hate you for it. I hate your lack of depth and trying to make something interesting. You gotta distract people with that stupid
It's a good way
crap.
to say it. A lack of depth. I like that.
If anything, try to like flip the script and see like what if Lightning was a male protagonist and they like enhance him in a way. Would people be
It's just
outraged in
David
the
Bowie.
exactly? Would people be outraged in the exact same way, or is the fact that she is a female that people freak out?
And I'm not like super feminist, but come on, that's like not necessary.
Well, I don't like when the word feminist is being like thrown out a lot because a lot of times, and I'm not saying this, it's what you did, Tony, but I think the word feminist and feminism was thrown out a lot in the responses to this from the people who were in favor of this somehow. And a lot of people who use the word feminist or feminism have no freaking idea what it means. People think it's just
I'm
like
just saying, those
man
aren't.
hating.
I've
They
never
want
been that
women
kind
to
of-
be the best. You know, you just like women and man hating. It's all about equality.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I wasn't
Quality.
saying it like
no,
that.
exactly. I know you weren't, but a lot of the people who were trying to throw out counter arguments to this whole story, and a lot of people in general, if you ask them try to define feminism, they're gonna give you wrong answers. So that's just part of my commentary on media and other things. Anyway, that's ridiculous. Just saying. That's our hilarity of the week. What do we have next? We have our story pool, some of the stories that did not make the cut for a headline, so we'll breeze through these really quickly. We're almost about an hour in the show here. Call of Duty Ghosts is coming to Wii U. So for the people who said that Wii U is not a next-gen system,
Suck it.
you get a game there. And it's probably going to look pretty
I didn't know where
damn
you're going.
good.
Yeah, probably will.
Although, I want to also give a shout out to The Final Bossman, which is a great show on Game Trailers. He had an episode about the Wii U is not next gen. And he's absolutely right. When a generation is defined by time and context, and people just say, oh, graphics is what matter, the Wii U's not next gen. It is next generation. It's part of that next generation of games. It may not be as graphically powerful as other systems, but to exclude it as saying it's not next generation, that's ridiculous. And it's funny that this was kind of leaked for a while that like a Wii U version may be in the works for Call of Duty. You know, different magazines were reporting it here and there. And now it's finally official when they come out and say, oh, these other games like SpongeBob and Skylanders and all these other little kiddie franchises on Wii U. But no, it's good when it's good when Call of Duty is included on Nintendo platforms. For those that are Nintendo console exclusive, to be included on that. I mean,
Especially after so many others were just like, no,
yeah, no,
you don't get
agree.
Rayman.
Mm-hmm.
When EA is being the honorable one out of Ubisoft, that's kind of. I'm not dissing Ubisoft, but they did tell Nintendo if you make a good controller, we'll put Call of Duty on there, and they are.
Nah, they did.
So good job.
Also, the SimCity saga continues, where EA is putting their spin hat on, and they think that SimCity was a success.
Wah, wah, wah.
I don't know how you define success, but I haven't seen sales numbers, so I'm not gonna say if they're just
Apparently,
putting on a pretty face.
apparently
Then, yeah,
they've sold more than 2 million units.
that's a success. That's pretty good.
And the number of people logging in and playing is holding steady. To just forget that even happened, that's unfortunate.
Mm.
Like that should never happen. And all the flaws that even beyond the initial, the initial issues with the game, that's unfortunate.
To be learned really for other people who are trying to do the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. I think I saw some sort of article or some response to it where this quote from Frank Gibeau, who's head of EA Games right now, is I think the temporary interim CEO. He was basically kind of breaking down like the PR speak in here and saying like we like that SimCity has an enormous number of loyal fans. Well, maybe you did before, but do you still have any? It's a weird situation. Just like this is still rearing its head, later. And is EA so deluded that they think because of what it eventually sold, it's still a success? I don't know. That's a little frustrating. Let's talk some BioShock Infinite.
Yes.
I'm kind of. I mean, if Super were here, he'd be like, that game.
That episode of Superfluous, that was something.
It's a fun episode.
It's a good episode. It's a lot of
I
different
felt so out of
opinions.
place in that one.
Tony, the episode's great because you're like, yeah, I guess Super's right. Oh, Yoko, you're right too. Oh, Super, you're right too. It's like Tony's just wavering back and forth, like, oh yeah, you're both right.
It was the moderator of that discussion a little bit.
It was good. It was good.
We've known for a while that
Bioshock mad or happy, so it's
We've known for a while that BioShock Infinite has a season pass. They've been selling it for a while, but they have not been talking about what is actually included. Well, they finally do discuss it. It was always sold as a 3-piece DLC pass. Now, the first one came out on July 30th, the date of this announcement, and that's a God, who the hell cares? It's Horde Mord for BioShock Infinite. And yes,
Clash in the Clouds.
Clash in the Clouds.
Quentin, I'm gonna talk crap about my buddy because he won't listen to this. He just loves Bioshock so much, and he said he loved it.
Really?
And I'm like, yeah. I know he's like, yeah, Bioshock's like one of my favorite games of all time. And I'm like, yeah.
It's Horde Mord. You basically have 15 waves of enemies, special bonus clear conditions, and 4 maps.
He's doing all of it. He's getting them. He's getting all his trophies.
Well,
It sounds like he was telling me about some of the challenges, and I'm like, Jesus.
I have a friend who already completed it completely. All the achievements, every unlockable, he already did it like in a day and a half.
I mean, if that's fun for some people, it sure isn't fun for me, that Horde Mord.
I have the
this
season
DLC
pass.
And if people don't know what Horde Mord is, I'm sorry for you. What is it? Microsoft E3 2011? Yes, I think that.
Yes. Yeah, 11.
I think someone said horde mode, and C just said horde mode instead.
Horde Mord.
And that's
No,
just
it
what
was,
we call it
what
now.
was it? It was Ice Cube when he was on stage.
Yeah.
The
yeah.
Horde Mord. Anyway, back to from the origins of that little meme. The most interesting thing is the Burial at Sea 2-part story campaign. Ken, do you want to talk about this a little bit?
Yeah, sure. Basically, we're playing alternate universe Elizabeth and Booker. It's a like a story DLC. It's an old like film noir kind of story mode. It looks awesome. Just in the trailer, they showed Booker walking around Rapture with Elizabeth, and you get to play as Elizabeth in the second part of the DLC. It just looks really, really cool.
Yeah, the Elizabeth, first time as a playable character, first female Bioshock main protagonist. Apparently going to be a little more survival horror-y in that second part. They're in beta on the first part. It's still with Booker, but, what were you going to say, Tony?
That's probably how BioShock 1 should have been. So that like everything I've heard like made me happy, because usually when they talk about, like, when people are talking about like BioShock 1 stuff and Infinite, I just kind of roll my eyes, like, I don't really care about Rapture at all. But this is like, from what Quentin tells me, they're in Rapture as the crap with Rapture is about to go down. And I'm like, that sounds interesting. And then he told me survival horror, and I'm like, that sounds interesting. So
it's
now
like
I'm like...
It's like the day before New Year's when everything goes to shit in Rapture.
And now I'm like, okay, that I'm going to probably watch somebody play that.
Yeah, I am a sucker for film noir stuff, so
Yeah, that stuff's cool
sign
too.
me up. So definitely hyped for that one. They're in beta apparently on part 1 of Burial at Sea, so they said coming soon. So maybe by the end of the year if we can keep our fingers crossed. But you can get the season pass for $20.
I'd say that.
It's $5 for the Clash in the Clouds not multiplayer, Horde mode, and then $15 a piece for each part of the Burial at Sea. So $20 would be a good deal if you want to check that one out. I'm definitely considering it myself. But no word on BioShock Vita, because that was an announced thing at one point.
It was funny. The night before all this was announced, Ken Levine was on Twitter saying, "Tomorrow, BioShock fans are going to hate me. Tomorrow, BioShock fans are going to love me." And then everyone started tweeting him, "Oh, BioShock Vita being canceled? Question mark, question mark, question mark."
That's funny.
So, yep. But the Vita is buried at sea too, so oh well.
Right. Yeah. And for those that don't remember, it was announced in Sony's 2012 conference, I believe. Yeah, Sony at E3 2012, if you remember that one.
Jeez.
But then nothing since then. Anyway, out recently. What's been out recently? There's
Smurfs 2.
No.
I had to put it out on the floor the other day. Smurfs 2 for the Wii and the DS.
Man.
Not even 3DS, just DS.
So we're gonna forget that's a thing and just say nothing is out recently.
Sounds
Go
good.
play Pikmin 3 tomorrow
Woo!
if you have a Wii U.
Want that Mario Luigi 4.
Yeah.
Want it.
August 11th.
Let's get to our soapbox where we kind of get on our little pulpit here. Short rant, anything that's media related, and I wanted to talk about more dumb people that are consumers of game media. Why does Call of Duty always seem to give gamers a bad rap? It's almost like Grand Theft Auto back in the day. It never seems to turn out well for the public's perception of video game players. When we're trying to make a statement that, games and the game industry and game players are a mature industry that deserves to be recognized. We have people like this. If you haven't heard, apparently Call of Duty Black Ops 2 got a multiplayer patch. And certain things like, the firing or reload time of certain guns, the damage was tweaked on bullets. Like for a sniper rifle, the damage was tweaked slightly. Now, let's bear in mind that this is an online video game. Granted, it's very popular. I will give you that. But this is an online video game. And we are in an age of social media where people take the advantage of, lack of proper identification and ambiguity and anonymousness, and they can spew out hateful speech that, to me, is mind-boggling. I don't know how you get this worked up about anything, much less Yeah, that's a good idea to make it public. Never mind that we were talking for the last few episodes about the kid who had the League of Legends match and then made a sarcastic joke about shooting up a school of kids on Facebook and now is facing 10 years in prison after being bailed out with $500,000 out on bail. But then you see some of these tweets, and the person it's being directed to, he says, not sure if these fractions of seconds are worth the threats of violence. Guns of power bands and learning curves over time both change. As one goes up, so does another. That's the short answer to why now. It's the simple answer of multiplayer patches, and holy cow. Let me see if I can...
All multiplayer online games that are big get patches, you idiots. It happens. It's a balancing thing.
Mm-hmm. Gosh, I wish I had... there was a page that was just like, oh, it was a Tumblr. And now I'm trying to remember what the Tumblr is. I'm going to have to look that up for you and put it in the show notes. But
I don't feel like this makes gamers have a bad name. I don't consider stupid. I only play Call of Duty people who complain on Twitter about balancing issues to be gamers.
It's not only Call of Duty people that do this, and that's the unfortunate thing. I mean, we've had issues with fighting games and women's place in fighting games and all that stuff, and dumb comments have been made there. But this is talking about killing families, killing you, raping people, doing unspeakable things, calling people unspeakable things. This is really bad stuff. And yeah, I'm going to I got to make a note for myself. I'm going to link to a Tumblr page that is basically screenshots of these different things for these small tweaks in a multiplayer game. If you're wondering why some people don't respect video games and video game players, and some people think, oh, it's just a hobby for little kids, it's because we're acting goddamn childish at certain points like this. And I'm not saying we as in the collective video game community, but it's rotten apples spoiling the whole crop.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's disgusting.
Just get mad at the Project M guys because Sonic doesn't play the way I want to.
Yeah, you kill their families because they changed the frame data for one move. Who cares? I'm not just saying, like, it's a game, but there are bigger things to worry about if you're going to direct your anger at anything. Maybe at government, maybe how people are being mistreated overseas. A multiplayer game where it's an arcade-style shooter? Please, I'm sorry. Next soapbox, please.
But Yoko, that frame rate, like, that's important, dude.
Yeah, for an outdated engine where it uses frame rate to determine bullet position? No, definitely.
Yeah. All right, go on, Tony.
I watched Game of Thrones and it was awesome.
Woo!
You should watch Game of Thrones too. But I have to say, having my friend Nathan watch it with me and go, that guy's from that house, helped a lot. I don't know how people just jump into that. I will say that. You get a feel for, like, who's what, like, when you watch the things, but, like, I constantly, like, looked at maps and stuff, and it helped a lot. And I think next season is going to probably have, like, 20 new characters and stuff, too, and it's going to get confusing.
Yep.
Oh, man. I think Daenerys is overrated, too.
Oh, why?
Because she's so likable. It's like her. And I'm like, I don't know.
Is she the blonde one?
Yeah, she's the blonde
White
one.
hair, yeah. Arya is really cool. Like, I love every other character. It's Joffrey except him because, like, he's purposely the only, like, not redeemable character.
Yeah,
but Daenerys is just so... There was 2 moments with Daenerys where I'm like, really?
Did you see... If you remember Batman Begins, Joffrey's actor plays a small boy in Batman Begins where he's like, thanks, Batman.
No, that sounds funny.
You go back and watch that. It's the same actor. Anyway.
That's really
my
good.
Contribution on Game of Thrones, everybody.
It's really good. Watch it.
Okay.
Oh, man, that theme, too.
So you're saying pirate it. Got it.
Well, whatever.
Yeah, do what you gotta do.
I'm not saying pay for HBO,
Or just wait a year for it to come out in box set.
but if you want to tweet at me about Game of Thrones, the show, not the books, because I don't tweet me spoilers. But I'll chat with you when it airs and stuff.
Tony, we'll talk later about Game of Thrones so we don't spoil
Totally.
for people.
Yeah.
'Cause I love that.
Game of Thrones superfluous, maybe.
Ooh.
But then Super's got to see it.
I think
so.
he said he wasn't interested.
Sounds
I'll
like
talk
Super.
to him. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he's not here to defend himself.
I'm sorry, Super.
Ken, what's your soapbox?
Super dumb.
Okay, so a lot of news came out of Comic-Con recently with like the new Avengers movie, the new Batman movie, all that stuff. So I decided to actually go get a comic book for once. I went to my local comic book store and bought the Age of Ultron series because apparently that's what the next Avengers movie is based on. And things in comic book world is really messed up right now.
Oh yeah.
Like apparently back in December, Peter Parker died.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, I
There-
heard about that.
Yeah, so Spider-Man's officially like gone now.
Oh,
And
wait,
Doc-
spoilers. Don't you?
It's not spoilers. It was
No,
it was the
it's not.
700th issue. It's been out for months now. But now he didn't really Peter Parker is dead. Before he died, Dr. Octopus transferred his mind and like soul into Peter Parker's body. So now Spider-Man's still around. It's still Spider-Man and everything, but it's Dr. Octopus controlling him.
Weird.
So he's the superior Spider-Man is what he's calling himself. And like Peter Parker's like consciousness is still inside the body a little bit. Like right after Dr. Octopus took over the body, he's like, you know what? I won't be a bad guy anymore. I'll be a good guy. I'll keep the Spider-Man name going on. But he's much more like ruthless than Spider-Man would be. Like he's like killing villains so they don't like fight back and stuff like that. He just hired a bunch of henchmen, like 100 like ex-cons to be like his Spider-Men to like patrol the city for him. And like he's doing a great job, but everyone can tell like what's going on with Spider-Man. And like the Avengers kicked him out. The Avengers kicked him out of the Avengers, and they tried to take him down, and he beat them all, saying, "Leave me alone. I'm just doing my job." But everyone knows
Leave
something's
me
up.
alone.
That's really what it is. Like they said, you know what? You're kicked out of the club, and you can come back when you change. And he doesn't change at all. And like, you know what? Let's go fight him. And he beats them all. So
Well, then what's going on with DC? I mean, DC is
Spider-Man
doing some
beats
big...
everybody.
DC is having the big Trinity War right now.
Is
Apparently,
that it? I thought they were also doing like a bunch of reboots on a lot of their series.
They did.
about a
but I
year and a
don't know.
half ago, they did a whole reboot called The New 52. Where
That's
basically
it, that's it.
every comic got restarted to number one. So Action Comics number one, Batman number one, all that stuff.
See, I was gonna call it Action 52, but that's something completely different. So
Yeah, but right now in DC Universe is the Trinity War, where it's
Okay.
the Justice League versus the Justice League of America versus the Dark Justice League or something like that.
that sounds
That-
like a wrestling thing.
Yeah.
If it wasn't like Justice League, it'd be like it's a 3-on-3 battle.
Yeah. And basically it was
No.
basically Superman accidentally killed Dr. Light, and that sparked like this giant Trinity War between all three.
Dr. Light,
Yes.
Mega Man.
No.
Yeah, so that's going on there. And the Age of Ultron, which the new Avengers movie is based off of, I read that. It's a 10-part series. It's really good, but I don't see how they can do that in like movie form, because basically at the end it retcons itself.
Oh,
So
that's fun.
Uh-oh.
yeah, so if they want, they can make that movie. It'd be a cool movie, but it wouldn't advance the plot at all. I don't think Marvel
And
wants to
Sonic
do
06 itself.
that. Exactly. But yeah, so I'm into comic books now. I'm trying to like catch up and figure out what's going on in the world of comics. That's pretty much it.
Pretty cool. Sorry,
Yep.
I just hopped away from the
I
microphone.
was like, how are you
because-
talking? You're not there.
Because I have to get metagame cards.
Like- I thought like
Woo!
someone knocked on your door and you were like gonna come back with pizza.
Right, yeah, right. Actually, I wanted to ask you while I'm shuffling these here cards. Now, Ken, you were saying that you got some little bit of hands-on time with the iPhone 5C.
Oh yeah, I did.
See?
Yeah, that's the prototype name anyway. 2 days ago, a customer came into Best Buy. He was looking for Civ 5 for the Xbox, which I said that's not
no.
a thing. He's like, oh, okay. Then I wear like a little Apple pin at work because I'm Apple certified at the store. And he was asking, oh, do you want to see something cool? He pulled out of his pocket the new iPhone. And it was like in like a case, so it looked like the current iPhone. Then he peeled the case off, and it was a much thinner, smaller version of the iPhone. On the back, it had 5C. It said prototype on the front. It was running iOS 7, and he let me play around with it for a couple of minutes. Yeah.
Now, what are your thoughts about that?
It looked really cool. It's an iPhone. It's nothing like completely. Oh my god, it's completely different. It was much thinner. The processor inside, I could tell, was much faster because I took out my phone. I was comparing loading app times. It was going faster on the 5C, not by too much, but I could tell the difference. iOS 7 ran a lot smoother on it than I have a beta version of iOS 7 on my phone, and I could tell it was running much smoother on the 5C than the current iPhone 5.
Probably
It looked
optimized, yeah.
Yeah, it looked cool. I don't think that I'll be making the jump to the 5C just because I don't see any big change yet. But before the guy left, he told me that they found source code in the iPhone 5C prototype for fingerprint reading.
Hmm.
So he said it wasn't implemented yet, but he said that apparently the touchscreen, it could detect fingerprints. I don't know if he was correct or not. That's what he said. He said they found it in the code last week of the prototype. But if that's true, that's pretty cool, I think.
I would rather do that as opposed to punching in a code.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
so-
really cool.
Yeah.
Now,
I
I
still
was
like Android better.
I was asking you some of this over Twitter. I know, Tony, I know. But Apple people are interested.
I understand.
Be quiet, Android. Apple's talking.
I'm not crapping on you guys.
I mean,
it's a good product.
I asked you this on Twitter, but I just want to get documented here. Some people have been talking about like, oh, it's plastic, lesser materials. I mean, what do you think about that?
It was the exact same material as my iPhone, from what I could tell. It was aluminum backing, had the metal sides. It looked just like the current iPhone is. Again, it was a prototype, so they might be using an old casing to keep it in, but it was a much smaller casing than the current iPhone, so I don't think it's any lesser material.
Now, what do you think about someone who has a 4S, is available for an upgrade? Is the 5C worth the wait?
I think so.
And that's what you think, probably
Like I've gone through every
October-ish.
Yeah, I've gone through pretty much every iteration of the iPhone. Like the jump from iPhone to iPhone 4, that was the big jump that a lot of people made. Then from 4 to 5, that was the next jump because it was a bigger screen. They changed a lot of things. The 5C doesn't look that different from the iPhone 5 from what I can tell right now. But if they come out in a month from now and say, oh, here's the 5C, here's all these amazing new things, then I'll say, yes, it's a definite jump. Otherwise, you could probably go from 4C to 5 and still be happy. 4S from 5, I mean, sorry.
But yeah, you think that's what, like October-ish?
Usually, they do end of this. They'll do a conference sometime in the summer, and then it'll release by early October, end of October, around there.
Mm-hmm. That would probably make sense with the timing of iOS 7 because they've still just said fall for that.
Yep.
Interesting. All right, let's get to metagame. For those that missed it last episode, basically I'm going to pose a question. You know how this works, Ken, right?
Yep, I know.
Okay, so we're going to pose a question about a video game. It's like, which is blank, or I'm going to draw the question here. And then I'll give it's going to be Tony versus Kind King here, and they'll each receive a game that they have to debate the point, and then I decide who wins. Just a fun little thing before we get to our YouTube video recommendations to wrap up the show. So you guys ready?
Yep.
The question is, which demands more of its players? Probably from is the better, preposition there. Which demands more from its players? Tony, do you want to go first or second for drawing the card that you get to debate?
I'll go first.
Tony, you will get... I'm going to put this away because I don't even know what this is.
What is it?
It was going to be Wizardry Proving Grounds of the Mad Overlord for Apple
Look at
II.
that. Look how demanding that looks.
That is a thing. Well, I'm gonna give you a different
It
one.
demands you to have an Apple II. That's
Here you go.
pretty demanding.
I honest to God, I don't know how I feel about this segment yet, but if I can make a fool of myself, it's still funny. It's still worth the time, I feel like.
How about we add a rule that you can get a mulligan of a draw?
Oh, okay, one mulligan.
One mulligan. Okay, then you get The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker, which
Ooh.
demands more of its players. So that's what Tony gets. Kind King, Farmville. Do you wish to draw another card?
No, I will stick with Farmville.
You will stick with Farmville.
That's a good one.
Which demands more of its players?
Kind King,
Kind
you wanna go
King
first?
begins. Farmville.
it's Farmville. In the very name, it requires farming. It's not a game. It's like a game you can pick up and play. But when you plant those watermelons, you need to be back in 24 hours to harvest those watermelons. It requires you to pay for like special items, like during the holidays. I know they make special exclusive items they charge you like through Facebook for. Where Wind Waker is just you just play the game. You can pick it up and play the game. There's not really a time limit at all. Where Farmville, it's tons of mini time limits, forcing you to come back to your computer or your device over and over again.
Tony, The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker.
Wind Waker is a huge, huge game. It may not have like time limits or whatnot, but there's so many things to collect. Just upgrades to get, items to collect, rupees to buy, millions of things. You have to farm rupees all the time to be able to buy everything. And let's not forget the Triforce side mission. You have to go and get all those rupees, translate all those maps. The sailing is never something you can just leave alone, but you can just sail and just like leave, but you might get attacked and then just drown. You don't want to drown. It's a bad time. But there's so much. It took me like 40 hours to just beat it, and then there's like so much treasure to get and everything. Always something to do.
Well, Tony, you said right there it took you 40 hours to beat the game. You can't beat Farmville. It's constantly updating, and there's no way to actually complete the game. So after you plant every crop, you think, okay, I've got every item. They do an update, and then all of a sudden you have to go back and play it all over again for X amount of hours at a time.
You can keep playing Wind Waker over and over again with New Game Plus. Beat the game in your jammy jams.
The jammies.
Okay, then what's after that?
Play them in your jammy jams again, dude. Can't get enough. You can play it in your jammy jams and then the health mask. That thing looked weird. I didn't like that.
Like the weird like teeth like face thing?
Yeah, that like the weird like Donkey Kong
The hero's
returns.
mask. I always get the hero's mask.
It's useful, but I don't like aesthetically how it looks.
I would like it if it was like the model of Link from Ocarina of Time, just on Wind Waker Link's face.
Yeah.
Ew.
The hero's mask.
Oh
Well,
god.
that's a really close debate. Much closer than I thought it was going to be. I don't know. People in the chat, do we have any thoughts on which way that goes? I'm curious. I kind of am leaning to one way, but I think I'd rather, we involve the Twitch chat. It's always a good time. So, which demands more from its players? The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker or Farmville? I don't know if they're paying attention. For the sake of moving things along, I'm going to go with Farmville.
Yes.
Because I know it's Wind Waker is tough for like a first time player, but once you beat the game, you know it. And there are more things to do, but they're all optional.
100%ing that thing's a monster.
It is really tough, but for those that choose to do that.
I'm not saying I'm like not defending myself more. I'm just saying it's a pretty big game. That's a good argument. I like that one.
Whereas, Farmville isn't, a tough game by any means, but the time suck that it can demand, which, yeah, you could say it's optional, but for many people it becomes compulsionary.
Mm-hmm.
And the time demand, you can't get away from that. So that's
any game is optional. I can quit Wind Waker just as easily.
Right. So I think we had 2-1 in the Twitch chat for Wind Waker there. For the record, Kind King, your next one, Super Smash Bros. Melee.
Ooh.
Oh.
That would have been interesting.
Depending on what context you use.
Exactly.
Competitively, screw that noise. I can't even think that fast.
Well, let's wrap up the show like we usually do, or at least did on What Are You Playing, with our YouTube video recommendations. Just something that we link in our show notes and we recommend viewers watch at the end there. Kind King, you have a recommendation for us?
Sure, I'll shamelessly plug myself for this recommendation.
There you go. The best way to do it.
Exactly. Me and my buddies started a Grump-style Let's Play video series back at the beginning of June. We've been about 2 months now. It's the same thing, just we have a microphone, we record the game footage, and just us commentating and bullshitting while the game's going on. It's been doing decently well. I've been happy with how much progress we've made. But we just finished up our Mario Party 7 series. did a quick Mario Party game there. We're doing a Donkey Kong series right now, and we just started Pokemon Red the other day. So if you want to check us out, it's on my YouTube channel. Just search KindKing01, all one word, in YouTube. We have a bunch of videos there to check out.
Is there a specific video or playlist of videos that you recommend people check out?
Oh, yeah, I'll say the Mario Party 7 we just finished, because our first videos were Mario Party 6, where I lost my friend Josh. And this was like kind of like my revengeance episode against him, doing everything I could to spoil him in Mario Party 7. And the end result is just, it's hilarious. So I'll say
you
Mario
lost
Party
to
7.
your friend. I was like, you lost your friend?
No, lost to my
no.
friend, yeah.
Oh, God.
That's a decent amount of views you got. How'd you go around that?
Just Twitter, Facebook, Skype chat, just linking videos.
Nice.
So yeah,
Sure.
it's growing in success. I'm actually in the process of buying a new computer and a new HD capture device to kind of streamline the process a little bit more.
I recommend the Hapog.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at.
too. It's a good one.
Yep.
You'll like it, especially if you want to do streaming for sure.
Exactly, yeah.
Tony, you got a recommendation for us?
I watched. I know everyone's kind of on Steam Train, but watch episode 1, No Time to Explain. Steam Train, and it's just Ross dying repeatedly with Dan just like up, and it was pretty damn fun. And Barry had a field day too, because he just started dying a lot, and Dan's just like, Barry, can you just add a death counter for Ross? I'm starting to like Steam Train a little bit. I don't think I'd watch every episode, but I like Ross because he's just like the underdog. He just like screws up a lot, and Dan just gives him shit, and it's just fun.
I like the death counter. Barry, make a death counter. Barry, put puppies on it. Barry, put kitties on it. Now do puppies and kitties hovering around the death counter.
Rotating around the death counter, and he did all of it.
He's probably like, damn you.
Oh, I know. It's so bad for Barry.
He loves it. I think he has a field day with that stuff.
Yeah.
I'm going to recommend the YouTube series Man at Arms. Now, if you haven't heard of Man at Arms, he is a forger of weapons. Forger isn't really the right word. He doesn't like fake it, but he forges things from steel and aluminum and other types of metals. So he's a blacksmith. That's the freaking word. Anyway, this guy's a blacksmith. He's done a bunch of, movie weapon props, really great looking things. And what he does is he takes requests on his YouTube channel and he makes these weapons. Now these can come from movies, TV shows, video games, and the one I'm going to recommend you watch is the episode with the Keyblade.
Yes, I've
from
seen
Kingdom
this.
Hearts. It's fantastic. He's got one of the swords from Game of Thrones. He has Finn's sword from Adventure Time. Wolverine's claws is one of the more recent episodes. But if you want to get started with it, check out the Keyblade episode for Man at Arms. And we're going to link these in our show notes here where you can download the episode. But definitely give that a check out. It's really cool stuff to see people work with those type of materials so effectively.
I just checked episode 2 of said Steam Train episode, and the death counter is still there. So that's going to be a fun run through.
Great. Well, we are running out of time and, things to talk about on the show here. Oh, and there's the link to Tony's. Thank you. I'm just checking out what you posted here. Well, episode 140 of Show Me Your News in the books here. God, we're coming up on 150, and that might be at the end of the year for a Game of the Year.
That'd be perfect.
That'd be awesome. But Kind King, thank you so much for joining us today. It's really great to have you on.
Thank you for having me. It's been a long time since I've been
Yes.
listening, so it's nice to finally be on the show. Thank you so much for having me.
Great. We'll have to have you on sometime soon again.
Awesome.
Well, I get to go off and travel once more. I came back from Orlando, Florida, and then now I get to go up to Traverse City, Michigan, where it's the cherry capital of the world, and there are sand dunes up there, but I'm going to be stuck covering a management business seminar for a car conference.
Woo!
Whoopity-doo. But it's not that bad. I mean, you get to travel. It's traveling. It kind of takes me away from Show Me Your News Network time, but hey, it's that full-time job there.
Oh yeah.
Anything else you want to add here? Plug
I'm good.
3 Average Gamers some more?
Yeah, just 3 Average Gamers. Check us out on YouTube. Just search my name, KonKing01. It's all on my account right now, and yeah, that's really
Maybe
it.
Kind King 01. I don't want like people throwing in the
Yeah.
letter O, but it's
Yeah, I
easier to say
know.
01.
That's why I've always said 01. Like, it's so much fun. Like, that's a 0. Like, I know, but whatever.
It's smoother to say 01.
KonKing 01. It breaks it up. I don't know.
Super's a butt. All right, with that.
that working guy. With that, I am Yoko.
I'm Tony.
And I've been KonKing01.
All right, we're out. Have a good one.
Peace.